Google Analytics for churches is a vital part of every church marketing campaign, right? Understanding how your church website is working is really, really important. Now, we cover a lot of ground when it comes to generating visitors to your website. That's always the goal, more website traffic. However, as the old saying goes, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. You can measure your offline church growth by simply monitoring how many people are at each service or event. But to measure your online growth, you will need to implement Google Analytics for churches on your website, right? So Google Analytics are an excellent tool. It's really a great tool. It allows you to track and monitor all the activity on your website. Now, at a glance, you can tell how many people visit your site, where they come from, how long they were on your website, and what kind of pages they visited, all this stuff. So how do you set up church Google Analytics? Setting up analytics can be a little tricky if you're not experienced with the platform. So you might want to have a pro install it on your website if you don't know what you're doing. But if you choose to, you can follow these simple steps to implement analytics on your site. First is you have to get your tracking ID and code snippet. Now, to do this, you sign into your analytics account, click on admin, select an account from the menu and under the account column, select a property from the menu in the property column, and under property, click tracking info and then tracking code. Your tracking. Now, your ID and your property number will be displayed at the top of the page. The tracking code snippet for your website is displayed under website tracking. Now that you have your tracking ID and your property number and your code snippet, it's time then to go to your website and add all that in. Now, a dynamic website is one for which the HTML is generated using programming language like Python, Ruby, PHP, that kind of a thing. You can use an include statement or a template to push tracking code dynamically to each page, because that's what you want to do. You want to cover every page. Now, to do this, find the JavaScript tracking code snippet for your property, and then copy the entire snippet. Don't make any changes to the snippet. Paste the entire snippet into its own include file, and then add the include statement to your page header so that the snippet appears before the closing header tags. Now, Google Analytics should now be tracking on your website. If your site is running on WordPress, you can skip the above and simply install the Google Analytics plugin and enter your tracking number from there. Very, very simple. But you want to verify that your tracking code is working. Once you have successfully installed the analytic tracking code, it can take up to 24 hours for data such as traffic referral information or characteristics or browsing information to appear in reports. However, you can check your web traffic setup immediately. If you make an error or the plugin isn't working, you could be tracking your traffic incorrectly, which is worse than not tracking it at all. Okay, you got to make sure this is accurate. It could be weeks or months before you realize you actually have an error, by which time you will have missed out on really valuable data. Now, our team at Missional Marketing are highly experienced in deploying Google Analytics on a wide range of platforms. So you're in good hands with us taking care of this for you if you should choose to have us do it. Now that you have installed your tracking code across your website, it's time for you to start tracking data, right? There are literally 100 of different elements that you can track using Google Analytics. But to get you started, we suggest you just focus on the main elements for now. When you log into Google Analytics, you will see a number of options in the left sidebar. There are 5 main groups that we will be focusing on. It's real time, audience, acquisition, behavior, and conversions. Let's just go through those briefly. Real time. The real time overview allows you to see who is viewing your site at any given moment. It shows on a map where your users are, what device they're using, and where they are coming from. This is quite useful as you can get a good idea of where your visitors most frequently come from and also what time of day they are most likely to visit your site. With this information, you can optimize your site and your social media campaigns to overlap with these statistics. Okay, so it's pretty powerful. Number 2, audience overview. Now, this section is the Audience overview. It's probably the most useful section for getting a general overview of the traffic for your website. You can see from the overview above, you are delivering data such as how many sessions are on your site, right? How many users have visited? The average session duration, how long? How many page views you got? How many pages a visitor visited per session? And bounce rate, you can read a little recent post on us about bounce rates and all that kind of stuff. And then, are they new visitors or returning visitors? New sessions versus returning sessions, and much more. All this information is visible from the dashboard, but you can delve into through the menu here when you bring up going through all the statistics of your users. There's a lot of information underneath there. You can find out where they're from and their age and gender and what device and operating system they're using. This allows you to paint a picture of your users and optimize your site accordingly. And let's talk about acquisition overview. So acquisition overview is another really useful part of Google Analytics. Here, you can see where all the visitors of your site are actually coming from. As you can see from the image that's on this blog, you can tell if the majority of your traffic is coming from organic search in Google, paid search in Google Ads, social media like Facebook, Instagram, that kind of a thing, and referrals, other sites linking to yours, and email, if you ever send out an email. This is great to see which channels are performing well and which ones are underperforming. And you can also compare your stats to the previous week or month or year to see if you are improving or if it's getting worse, right? And it's always fun to look at that through the different seasons. Without Google Analytics, you would simply be left guessing. But Google Analytics allows you to take actions as soon as anything starts to slip, right? You can shore that up. Let's talk about behavior overview. Behavior overview allows you to see how people engage with your site once they've landed there. Here, you can find out things like, what pages are most popular overall. Likely your homepage is the most popular. What are the most popular landing pages or exit pages? How your site performs on different browsers. Once again, this is all really relevant information. The more data you have on the users of your website, the more you can improve it and also tailor it to them. So I encourage you to try our new free church website SEO audit tool to analyze your website and also to get improved suggestions, okay? Now, let's talk about conversions briefly. Conversions are most frequently used by e-commerce sites to track when a user makes a purchase on a site. However, you can also use it as on a non-e-commerce site to track certain events that you want your users to make. For example, you could set it up so that when a visitor comes to your site and signs up for your mailing list, that this is counted as a goal conversion. You can then get conversion rate statistics on what percent of your visitors end up signing up for your list, right? Really good stuff. To get started with Church Google Analytics, let's talk a little bit about that. So missional marketing, we're dedicated to Christian communications. Like that's what we love to do. We love to help churches understand how to communicate better. And we work with churches all over the place. And we are a top certified Google partner. And so we would love to be able to help you not only set up your Google Analytics, but also learn how to use Google Analytics to better deepen the engagement of your users. It is really, really important because you've worked hard to get clicks to your website. Now they're on your site. Let's learn what they're doing. And so that you can improve that, have better call to actions for engagement. Ultimately, we want them to show up to church, right? We want them to register for an event or sit into a seat, right? Or maybe now that it's online church is really popular, engaging online. Regardless, you've worked hard to get that traffic on your website. Use Google Analytics to determine what to do next. Thanks so much.